Put it this way, you know what? This is a perfect moment where we could bring up a little topic. I was thinking maybe we would address at the end because it's a frivolous one for your interview, but some of your fan base might want to know this. This is basically why people think this interview would never happen, LS. They think we hate each other or you hate me and that you're never going to do any content when they hear them. Because obviously a few years ago, when it was during Worlds, apparently I didn't know this. You'd done a whole stream that day defending BDD, and then I just made a comment about, like, in the group, I thought, like, he wasn't the best mid or whatever. Like, I made some, like, throwaway comment on Twitter, and we had like a back and forth, but as you could see, it super escalated really quickly, even though to me it's like, what the fuck, I'm just talking about BDD, why are you taking it personally? Now in that scenario, true, there is the context that you maybe thought I'd seen your video and was directly addressing it, which I wasn't. I was actually just giving a throwaway
I thought
tweet.
You were in the stream.
Yeah, so the problem in that case there is, to other people, they'll be like, how could they blow up? Or they'll assume that means we aren't friends because we blow up that way. But actually it's more to me, I was sort of being like, why is he taking this personally? I'm not attacking you, dude, like what the fuck? But the problem is you took that in a setting, you thought essentially I was intentionally in seeing BDDs by trying to attack you in a way, or your credibility or something, right? So I think this is a pattern that's repeated in your career, right?
Yes. I can't separate myself from games. I don't know if I ever will, but it's very, very weird. I think as I myself begin to grow more complacent and detached from my old passionate self, I think that I'm slowly moving away from it, which also stems with, like, finally, I actually did manage to take a break, like these past couple of weeks and things. And I think there's a bittersweetness to it in that I witnessed my own fuel sort of dying or dissipating that got me to the very fortunate position that I'm in right now in esports. And it's very sad because I just imagine that this is what maybe happens to others, that breeds the complacency and other types of things. And when I begin to talk about it and when I have conversations like this, I actually feel it goes in the opposite direction. It's sort of like reinvigorates that type of stuff. But it's just, it's hard to get going when so many things seem so futile. And like you just mentioned, like about the processes, I think that from 2018 to 2020, before I started getting very large, it's literally that process, which I referred to as casting the seed of doubt, which is so many people thought I was wrong on Morello Leandri, right? That was a 2-year campaign. And Riot bestowed upon me one of the greatest accolades that I think that they can give anyone, which is I was added to the game as an Easter egg. And I was the first person that Riot ever added to the game in 6 years since Total Biscuit. And that was, I was very emotional because that was like an objective statement to me that I had done something. I had persevered through so much bullshit, and there was like a reward. There was a light at the end of the tunnel. And that day was one of the most emotional days for me in esports, along with joining T1. I think that those two are the most emotional days in my entire career that I would think of. And I guess, like, oh man, where I'm going with this is, I think that once people saw I was right with Leandri Morello, that people who just immediately disregarded me, there was some like seed of doubt, like, wait a minute, maybe he's actually right on things. But they're unsure because they actually don't fucking know me. They only know me from clips and highlights. And they don't have engagement with me. And then it happens again, and then it happens again. And yeah, I mean, I think that it just kept happening. But now it's like in this weird phase where it's almost seems like people have grown tired, that more things seem to crop up. And I directly attribute this to the aforementioned complacency, and it feels like LoL is getting oddly worse in the last few years, because everyone is screaming doom, right? Viewership decline, stream death, YouTube viewership down. Everyone's screaming death, and so while everyone's screaming death, and it just seems like there's negativity everywhere, along come me, and I'm like, that item's wrong, this item's wrong, this isn't good here. It almost seems like, again, it's turning. And like, people don't want to hear it, and or not hear it, but like, because it's challenging people to better themselves or to think critically, whilst there's so much other shit going on. it feels like there's some sort of resentment towards it, and it's so weird, as if like I keep doing this, or I keep finding new things, but I don't understand why I would ever fucking stop. Why would I stop?
Oh, I see what you mean. They think you're sort of like a hipster, like you always have to be on like a different take than everyone. You always have to think you got the new thing. That's what they think you. So they essentially think like, put it this way, I was going to address this later, but it's sort of like that. Like, here's the reason why I went so hard, if people don't know, on that Cadril video where he sort of like on stream said about LS some kind of a bit, I would say, reductive and a bit hyperbolic things himself about LS. Like he implied like 99% of your takes, like, you know, like out there in the wild or whatever. And obviously he did that. He even said it himself. He was like, yeah, maybe you found a few things like the moon staff, but like all the rest. That's the reason why I attacked that, is because to me that was almost like he was like an avatar of all the people critiquing you, because they would say the same thing. They'd be like, oh, you push it too far now. Maybe you had something with like moon stuff, but now you're just trying to find something in every. Whereas it's not. You're actually genuinely trying to be on the cutting edge, right?
Yeah,
and there are always going to be new things to discover.
You know,
yeah.
What's very funny is in that video, which me and Cadril are very good nowadays, right? I mean,
yeah, I heard you doing a show for Worlds, right?
In that video, he actually cites things that I must be wrong about, like in Modern League, right? He referenced specifically in that video Rocket Belt in Italy. What happened 6 months later? You know, I mean, like that's funny. That one to me is that one, like, there's things that he actually says in the video that eventually do come to be the popular consensus, but it should not have anything to do with popularity.
Sure.
It should have to do with practicality, math, and reasoning and transformative value, but no one seems to care about that.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.